That record holder now with the Hamilton 55.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix podcast. I'm Elton, this is Andy.
Hello!
Hey mate, you alright?
Yeah, not too bad. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, good. We are here to review the penultimate, I nearly said episode, penultimate race of the 2017 Formula 1 Grand Prix season in Brazil.
It's kind of like the penultimate episode of the podcast for the season, unless we do like a big wrap-up thing at the end, which we probably will.
Yeah,
so actually, yeah, that makes no sense at all. Yeah, carry on. Pretend I didn't say anything.
Moving on. Yeah, so, you lost my train of thought now.
The road at the station, there's bodies everywhere. Let's go live to the scene. Yes, I'm live from Elton's train of thought. It's a disaster scene here. I've got to tell you, I've never seen anything like this.
Honestly, man, that has not helped anything.
Did you expect it to?
Not really, no. Well, I was hoping something might pop into my head anyway. But anyway, yeah, so Brazil. I've been looking forward to this for a little while now. We all know the championship's over. Both championships have been almost drawn to a close in the respect that we know who is the champion.
Yes.
In both championships.
Freddie Mercury queued up his pipes a good few episodes ago. So
certainly did. Yeah, certainly did. And we're just jostling for certain minor positions, which I suppose don't really matter anymore. But you know, but
you've got to figure out who's first of the losers.
That's correct. Yes, that is correct. But it's all to do with pride as well. And this, I feel, these last two races are about building up momentum for next year as well.
Yes, because we saw definitely in 2015, if you go off a boil now, it can really fuck up your 2016.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because Lewis didn't win. Hang on, no. Nico Rosberg started winning quite well, didn't he? At the end.
Lewis. So this was the big fact that was being touted around all weekend. Lewis has never won a race after winning a championship.
Right, okay. How many championships has he won?
4.
How many has he won on the last race?
I only think he did one on the last race, and that was the 08 one.
And he's won it in Abu Dhabi as well. That'll be the 2014.
Okay, so there's 2 on the last race, and 2 so far before that. And 2015, he didn't win any of the last season. And so far in 2017, he's not won any, so...
Yeah. Okay. So that fact only came up before the start of this race, didn't it?
It's like all the facts they pull out in it. Whenever someone says, no one's ever not won from 11th on the grid, that's always a fact up until someone wins from 11th on the grid.
True, yeah.
Like no one's ever come from a pit lane to finish on the podium. Well, only 3 people have done that ever, until 4 people have done it. It's just It's Crofty making up, he's got to talk through stuff, so that's all that is.
Is that a Crofty fact?
It is a Crofty fact, I think, yeah.
Some of them I just don't listen to. Some of it I like the guy, but sometimes I don't really care. That really doesn't factor into any equation whatsoever that I really care about. So I just stay clear. Normally turn off. Maybe I did turn off on that bit. I was like, I don't care. But thanks for that factoid anyway. That's good.
You're welcome. Yeah,
it's good.
I'm happy to pass it on.
So this weekend, did you enjoy the race? Just a brief summary before we dive into certain things and news that's happened in between.
On the whole, yes, I enjoyed it. I feel a race of 2 halves, perhaps. The first half being more exciting than the second half.
Ooh.
But still, on the whole, it was good.
Right. I thoroughly enjoyed it from start to finish.
Yeah. I did enjoy it towards the end. I'm just saying the first half was more enjoyable.
Okay. No, that's cool. That's cool. So with that being said, did any news happen in between the last race
You better fucking believe a fucking news fucking happened. But we'll save that. Oh, wait, we haven't done our disclaimer yet. We're going to swear on this cast.
Yep.
So, yeah, get used to that.
We're going to swear. We don't know everything. We're a bit stupid and we're two idiots talking on the internet.
We don't really know anything, if we're honest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But I'll say that I want a bit of a run up to that particular bit of news. So we'll ease into it a little bit, shall we?
Do you want that? If it's the bit of news I think you're thinking about, then should we leave that to the last bit of news?
I think we should, yeah. Although a lot of the other news does kind of tie into it. So
okay,
it might take a bit of dancing around here to figure stuff out. But I'll tell you what, let's start with some bad news, but more recent news.
Yep.
And this is something that's happened a few times now in Brazil. Some of the Mercedes team were held up and robbed at gunpoint.
Yeah, heard about that. Not pretty.
Not pretty at all. And excuse me, Formula One, the fuck you playing at? In my previous life, working for a big defense conglomerate, doing air shows around the world in some, I'd say some shady places, certainly as shady as parts of Brazil. There's a thing called being within the bubble, where you have security, like from the moment you get up and leave a hotel until you get to the location, and then on the way back again. And it's where was the security for this? This should not have happened. And from what it sounds like, they were apparently working late or something like that. And the police or whatever, the security went home. And then as the Mercedes, and they were leaving on a minibus, a branded minibus as well.
Right.
Probably not the smartest thing in the world there. And they were held up at gunpoint, had laptops, watches, wallets, all that sort of stuff stolen. And that is not on at all.
Okay, with the branding, when I was at Silverstone, I saw a lot of Mercedes minibuses. They were the official minibus of Silverstone. So that wouldn't surprise me. Everyone was being shipped around in them, though. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't surprise me that they're branded as Mercedes. I mean, it may just be a thing that it just so happened that the Mercedes team got in the Mercedes minibus. Because did you hear Eccleston talking to Ted, where he was saying about the branding, and they're just trying to make it showbiz, aren't they? They're fucking Eccleston. He's lost the plot. He really has. He's just a dodgy old guy now.
He was crazy old grandpa this weekend, wasn't he?
Yeah, I swear he'd pissed in his pants at one point as well. He just doesn't factor into anything. He looks like a lost person at that circuit. I think he may actually be lost. He just doesn't know, and everyone's just playing along with it.
Yeah, I mean, there was that. I mean, again, it was going on about Ted coming out of the closet and stuff, and it was just...
What the hell is all that about? Honestly.
Yeah, it was somewhat painful to watch.
It's embarrassing to watch, and I don't think he's got... If he wants to embarrass himself in front of a worldwide audience, then go ahead, but there has to be a point where he's taken away from this sort of stuff. He's in no position. He was even spouting about do you remember last time where they were talking about Ferrari and the way that the FIA were bending to help Ferrari out?
Powder dry.
Okay, fine. Okay, I'm treading onto it. Okay, I will leave that now. Fuck off, Bernie. Honestly, man. I thought we got rid of you, and yet you're still there. Honestly. It's like you change car and you think, oh, good, I don't have to have that air freshener in my car anymore. I'll get a new one. And then your missus takes all the stuff and puts it in a carrier bag, moves it to the new car, and then all of a sudden you sit in your new car and you think, oh, great, oh, there's the fucking old air freshener. And it doesn't do anything. It hasn't given off any fragrance for the last 6 months. Wow. Yeah. Fuck off, Bernie, man. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Mercedes being held up at gunpoint, not good at all.
It is not good, and again, it's a organisation and a sport such as Formula One is, which is, it is the very definition of opulence and money. It's all about flashing cash and that sort of shit. As much as they try.
It's the 1% show, isn't it?
Oh, it's the 0.1% show purely. I mean, another bit of news we'll get onto in a second. But, when you're trying to avoid paying the tax on your private jet, yeah, I mean, that tells you the level of people we're dealing with here. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know whose responsibility this ultimately is. Is it the teams? Is it Liberty Media? Is it the circuit? But someone dropped the ball there. And, I mean, kidnappings are still a huge thing in Brazil. I mean, didn't Bernie's mother-in-law get kidnapped there or something once?
I think it was in Brazil, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just not on. Someone's got to really kind of put it together. I mean, again, okay, it's not so much of an issue presumably in Brazil, but what if it was somewhere like Bahrain or even Abu Dhabi and stuff like this, places where potentially there's more exposure to terrorism and stuff like that? You can't allow that kind of breach of security to take place there. No. So they need to address that, in my opinion. Yeah. Again, we mentioned it briefly there. The other bit of another bit of news was Lewis was in the news for perhaps the wrong reason this week, when it turned out he's actually been dodging the tax on his rather expensive private jet.
I'm glad you brought this one up. This is
are you really?
Yes, I am. Yes, because well, he missed out on £3.3 million worth of tax. Is that right?
He didn't miss out. He avoided paying it.
Okay,
but yes.
He avoided paying it.
Yes, we missed out on the tax for his private jet.
Now, there are two sides to every coin, I feel. And I don't condone people not paying their tax, but if you can't blame people, if there's people paid to look for loopholes in tax avoidance, then, and it's all totally legal and above board, you can't blame them for...
Are you trying to say, Mr. McManus, to not hate the player, but to hate the game?
I am saying that, yes.
Yes. Very gangster of you.
But there are ways in... What I can work out is that Lewis had a plane. He imported it into Isle of Man, I think it was. He then leased it to another company, who leased it to another company, who then rented it back to him to use.
Yes.
That
in a
blows.
nutshell, that is it.
There's tax avoidance, and then there's taking the piss.
Well, put it this way. I'll say this. I doubt Lewis has even the foggiest idea any of this has happened. Because he will have hired financial advisors and lawyers and all these people to manage his wealth.
Yes.
The wealth management firms, if you will. And they will have taken care of all of this. And, it's not like he would have woken up one day and go, oh, yes, I want a private jet, but I don't want to pay tax on it. Now, what's happened is the wealth management, he said, I want to buy a private jet. And they'll have gone, oh, okay, fine, we'll take care of that. It's only going to cost you, I don't know, 60 million. But it says here it should cost me 63 million. Don't worry about it. We did a deal. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
That would have been the conversation on his part. So I don't blame him as such. But it was just interesting seeing Lewis in the news for reasons other than becoming a 4-time world champion.
Yeah. Yeah, there's certain ways of doing things, and if he knows that he's really honestly taking the piss, then why not just hire out a different plane, or just not buy a plane at all and just rent one out all the time?
Yep. No, absolutely. That would again, it's very hard to kind of defend someone who owns a private jet, basically. But
I feel like I am a little bit. I don't know why, but I am. And I feel if someone came up to me and said, okay, this is how you can save 10% on your wages. And you'd be like, okay, is it all about, oh yes, completely above board. You just pay me 5% and then you get the extra 5%. Okay, fine. I think most people would do that, wouldn't they? Surely.
You'd hope so. Yeah.
I think that I don't think anyone would turn around and go, well, actually, I find this guy quite immoral, but it's not illegal. It's totally above board. You're allowed to do it. They just haven't closed the loopholes yet. So
I mean, not wanting to become the HMRC podcast. I do know, you have people such as J.K. Rowling who make the conscious decision to stay in the higher tax brackets.
Yeah.
Because they want to give more back. And I applaud that. But it is one of those ones that she had to make that conscious decision to do it and had to take an active interest in those sort of things. So, yeah, I mean, it's not really a story with anything to do about Formula One as such. It was just an interesting one. I mean, let's face it, when it comes to the Devils within Formula One, I think Mr. B. Eccleston takes some beating.
Yeah. Okay,
which we have mentioned on a few occasions. Other bit of news, Force India, did we say a while back they were thinking of changing their name to Force One?
Yes.
So apparently it was because, they feel they're missing out on potential sponsorship opportunities because, people don't want to sponsor the Force India team. But they've been told they can't use Force One. They have to use a different name. So they're looking at alternatives because Force One apparently is a bit too similar to Formula One, especially when you abbreviate it, F1.
I think Formula that's the whole idea of doing it, though.
I think that was the whole point of doing it. And apparently Liberty Media have said no.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
No.
So, what do you reckon they will call themselves then? Or do you reckon that their game has been scuppered and so they will not change their name?
They could go with a big old Star Wars tie and just call themselves The Force.
Oh, Jesus. I hope they don't score any points then. Honestly.
Yeah. Have Darth Vader and Boba Fett driving the cars. It'd be awesome.
The helmets would be wicked.
Use the Force, Luke. Okay. That's a different podcast.
Ocon, you've turned off your targeting computer.
You turned off your targeting computer. What's going on? It's all right.
It's okay. I know what I'm doing.
Was that supposed to be Gasly?
No, it's supposed to be Kimmy. I don't know.
Oh, Kimmy.
I'm getting it all mixed up.
Okay. Moving on. It's officially been unofficially confirmed that Alonso next year will do at least one WEC race, presumably the Daytona, racing for Toyota in an LMP1 car.
Excellent.
And he was absolutely not seen having a seat fitting in the Cologne factory of Toyota this week.
Oh, that's got to smart Honda, isn't it?
It's like it's not only that this isn't just breaking up with a girlfriend. It's immediately going and dating her sister.
Yes,
it's just like wow.
After fingering her mum.
Oh, okay, that took a very dark turn all of a sudden. I'm not sure I can condone that part of the analogy.
Yeah, okay. Well, he said some tasty words after the race as well. So
that was your one tasty to use this podcast.
Okay,
fine. You've used it now. So
but
anyway, what did he say?
Oh, well, he said after finishing the race that something along the lines of Toro Rosso have got to look forward to that engine in the back of their car later, and he had a wry smile on his face.
Oh, well, it's funny you should mention Toro Rosso and engines, because that segues nicely onto our next bit of news. Bit of a ding-dong going on between Renault and Toro Rosso.
Uh-huh.
Because Toro Rosso have been through quite a few engines of late. And Renault have basically turned around and saying, look, I don't know the exact wording, but they basically said, look, the amount of engines you're going through, when compared to both Red Bull and the Renault team, it's got to be something with the way you're using the engines or packaging the engines.
Right.
To which, Toro Rosso responded, no, your engines are shit. In fact, we think you're deliberately sabotaging the engines because you want to beat us in the championship. Shots fired.
Yeah.
Which then, effectively then, Mum and Dad had to come out because you had Helmut Marko, who, as we know, is renowned as the voice of civility and reason within the Red Bull family. And Alan Prost had to come together and effectively apologise for their kids.
Bloody hell. I love this story. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Great, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's got all the kind of drama and impetus of a schoolyard fight. He said that. No, you did this, and yeah.
It's just the way that it's so slanderous in the way that Toro Rosso have turned around and said, no, you're trying to screw us over in the championship.
Yeah.
Now, I can see where they're coming from, but I think they're clutching at straws. I don't think Renault want to have that type of publicity where they screwed over one of their own customers so their own team can get ahead of them. I don't think they
can't
want that.
even, because the engines are all hologamated, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've all got to go through the FIA. So if they'd done... Well, actually, that being said, they'd get rid of a token system issue, but they still have a limited number of engines they can go through, don't they?
Yeah.
So they've all got to go through the FIA. They're all serial numbered and everything like this. It's not like they can deliberately sabotage that specific engine knowing that that's when they're going to fuck it up. I'm sorry, Toro Rosso, but I'm kind of with Renault on this point. It's probably something you guys are doing.
Yeah. I'd say so. It could. Yeah, you've had at least 4 drivers in them cars.
Oh, at least.
The way that they've mucked them around as well. So the engines have had at least 3 drivers each, and they've all got different styles and all different ways of dealing with these engines. And so maybe they've been driven in different ways, which affects them, which can happen. It's happened in the past.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just can't see how Toro Rosso have got a leg to stand on this. They really don't. Poor old Renault, flipping hell. No, not poor old Renault, but I don't like the way that Toro Rosso have come out and said that.
I don't either. I don't know if there's some bitterness over the whole Carlos Sainz going over to Renault thing, perhaps. I mean, again, I don't know what we don't really know what the terms of the whole Honda deal were either. I mean, was it a Toro Rosso deal or was it a Red Bull deal? And Toro Rosso got stuck with it for a year while Red Bull evaluate their options.
I think it's totally that.
Yeah, I reckon it's probably that as well. So yeah, that's fun. But yeah, so let's get to the bit which kind of leads into the big story, I suppose. Engine regulations for 2021 have been, well, not been announced, but they're on discussion, I believe.
They're on the table at the moment, aren't they?
They're on the table. It's something they've been working on for about the last year. I think ever since Liberty came on, they've been consulting with the manufacturers, trying to figure out what they want the engines to be from 2021 going forward, because they've also invited other manufacturers like Porsche and Aston Martin to have input, over what would it take to bring you guys in and everything like this. So there's been a certain amount of, we want this, and this, and that, and that, and that. They often say that the key to a successful negotiation is that no one leaves happy. Well, I think Formula One are definitely fulfilling that goal, since it sounds like no one is happy with them. But one of the things that came out is, we had Mercedes and Renault both said they weren't overly happy with the regulations as proposed. And then we had Ferrari come out and say, we don't like these regulations, and if they don't change, we will quit.
Oh, dear. Oh, dearie.
Just a moment. Just get a little drink here.
Do you want a little run up?
Ah.
Are you all right?
Yes.
Here we go.
Go fuck yourself, Ferrari. Go fuck yourself sideways with your big red fucking cars, you fucking fucks. It is called Formula One, not Ferrari One. And you know what fucking annoys me even more than Ferrari pulling this shit for about the 70 billionth time, which in essence is the DNA of Ferrari in Formula One. It is, they see something they don't like, they complain until they get changed their way. It's the people defending them for doing it by saying if they leave Formula One, it's no longer Formula One. Fuck Ferrari! Mm-hmm. Seriously. I mean, even with all the support they've had, they've been shit for God knows how long. I mean, honestly, when was the last time we were truly a force in Formula One? 2004?
Yep.
I mean, since the end of the Ross Brawn Schumacher era, despite being paid more for just showing up than I think than Red Bull got for all 4 years of their championship winning thing, despite having a technical veto on any regulations they don't like, despite having, by his own admission, Bernie Ecclestone and Max Mosley bending the rules to ensure Ferrari was happy, you still suck. You're shit. And if you have a definition of what it is to be Formula One, well, you are what is wrong with Formula One. Right there, my friend. This isn't the tail wagging the dog. This is some even bigger analogy from that. It is. I can't even put it into words. But this pissed me off. Again, it wasn't so much Ferrari pulling this shit, because they always pull this shit. It was the people defending them. People going on TV saying, well, if Ferrari was to leave the sport, it would be Formula One. No, I'm pretty sure it would still be Formula One.
Yep.
Pretty sure. Pretty sure. In fact, I dare say it would be better, because you know what? Ferrari wouldn't be taking such a huge slice out of the fucking pie, and they could spread that around the other teams a bit more, and it would give every other manufacturer or every other team who starts thinking they are too big for their boots pause before they pull that kind of shit.
Yep.
I mean, this is what happened with WEC. It got to the point when the manufacturers and all this were kind of like wagging, they were making noise of it. The FIA clawed that back, sorted it out. Okay, this year things have gone a bit shitty, but prior to that, it was good, strong, close racing. That's what I want. I don't care if it's a Ferrari. I don't care if it's a Mercedes. I want good, close racing. That's what I want.
Do you know someone else would just come in and paint their cars red, and we'll be none the wiser? It would just be, okay, fine.
Absolutely. It was just, I mean, again, all the way back to Enzo Ferrari, he would pull this shit non-stop. He's been pulling this shit for 50 odd years. What? Formula One's 50 years? He's been pulling this shit for 40 odd years. If he does, I'm going to quit if I don't get my way. I'm going to quit if I don't get my way. I'm going to quit if I don't get my way. Someone needs to call them on this shit, because let me tell you, if they quit, one of two things will happen. Formula One will carry on quite happily with no problem whatsoever, and Ferrari will come crawling back within 5 years, because where the fuck else are they going to go?
Yeah.
I mean, what are they going to... Okay, we're going to start their own racing series. Fine. Go ahead. Don't care.
Fine. It's just Ferraris against Ferraris.
You know what it is? It's that old A1 GP. They were using Ferrari chassis back in the day. Yeah. How would that work out for you? Huh?
that disappeared pretty quickly, didn't it?
That did disappear really quickly. Yeah. I mean, where can they go? They do GT, but again, that's not really what Ferrari is about. They do LMP1. Fine. Spend the next 3 years developing a car which is going to go nowhere anyway. Mm-hmm. And again, not really what Ferrari is about. Everyone says, oh, well, Ferrari is in the DNA of Formula One. No, my friends, you have it the other way around.
Yeah.
Formula One is in the DNA of Ferrari, because the whole reason Enzo Ferrari was making road cars was to pay for his Formula One racing.
Yep.
I mean, that was literally it.
Yep.
And okay, Montezemolo, he would never dare actually carry through. What's the new guy called? Morricone?
Yeah.
Yeah. They all came and gone, oh, well, he's this Formula, tobacco boss. He's a bruiser and he'll go through with it. Do it. Please. I'm begging you. Please. Just go. Fuck off. Please. Off your trot. Off your trot. Go on. Don't let that door hit your ass on the way out. I don't give no fucks at all. I really don't. Look upon this field of fucks I have to give, Anakin. Cast your eyes upon it, and you will see that it is barren.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true.
It's like I said, what annoyed me more wasn't so much Ferrari pulling this shit, because they always do. It was the people trying to play them. I was watching the Sky F1 report, and Peter Wins was on there.
Oh,
saying,
not that guy.
Yeah, Ferrari's the essence of Formula One. No, he's not. There's not. No, it's not. It's that attitude is why they can get away with this sort of stuff. And I mean, that's the thing is, you can't call this a sport unless there's some level of equality, a level playing field, or what have you. Saying that it's important to maintain Ferrari's premier position. Fuck that. I mean, for one thing, they still can't win with that premier position.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, why would any manufacturer look to come into this sport at this point if they know? I mean, okay, so someone like Porsche would be going longer than Ferrari, probably view themselves in the same category as them. Are they going to want to come in when they know they're going to be giving an installed disadvantage to a team like Ferrari?
Exactly.
It's why would you do that? I mean, the only thing I can think of is if you're doing the wrestling argument, you always need a villain, and that's Ferrari. Yeah. And fine, they're the Undertaker. I don't watch wrestling, but whatever, by all means.
Dastardly.
Yeah, they're the Dick Dastardly, fine. But at the end of the day, Dick Dastardly wasn't given extra money to catch Penelope fucking Pitstop.
Oh, Jesus. Excellent.
I mean, again, it's don't get me wrong. I think Ferrari again have got the wrong end of a stick because they like to see themselves in this premier prestige position and all that sort of stuff. But I think it reflects poorly on them when if they win, people will point to them and say, well, they have all the advantages. What is it they always say? The FIA is Ferrari International Assistance.
Yeah.
And if you don't win, well, that looks even worse because it's like even with all these advantages, all this extra money, everything else there, you still suck.
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. I honestly believe in this case that if Ferrari turned around and said, no, okay, we don't like what's going on, we're going to quit, the Formula One, Liberty, whoever is actually running it, should have just turned around without even drawing breath and gone, okay, and just left it at that. And then Ferrari had just left there going, oh, okay. Yeah. What do we do now? We've straight off, they've just lost $100 million, pounds, whatever it is. Straight off the bat. Can a company afford, like Ferrari, can they afford, honestly, to lose $100 million straight off the bat? I don't think so.
Probably. No, they probably can.
I reckon they'll notice it. They'll notice it. Especially after 2 years, and then 3 years, and then 4 years. They'll notice that.
The one thing I can tell you for nothing is if they then go to WEC or some other racing series, they ain't getting 100 million for just showing up.
Yeah. Yeah, they rock up and go, we'd like to be part of your racing circus. Yeah, okay, yeah, fine. Aren't you going to pay us? What?
No, my friend, it doesn't work like that. And again, could we see them going into Formula E? No, that's anathema to Ferrari.
Nah, that's not gonna. They can make as many hybrids as they want, but it doesn't suit Ferrari, does it?
No,
it really doesn't. It reminds me of when, 2000, I think it was, Manchester United pulled out of the FA Cup. And everyone was, what? Oh, hang on. No, but it's the FA Cup. They can't pull out. They're part of the FA Cup. And they pulled out. And then what happened the next year? They were back in it again. No, they were back in it because they want to be part of it. So let Ferrari go. If they want to come back, let them come back. And then you don't have to pay them that £100 million straight off the bat for just walking down the pit lane. Let them go. 5 years, I can do 5 years without Ferrari. I could do 2 years without Ferrari. I can do however long. They will come back. There's no doubt about it because they'll look around the world and go, IndyCar? No, because that's not going to happen, is it?
No.
Then do they have more of a impact over in America or in Europe? So they're looking for a European series.
Yeah.
Largely. And they're just going to look at other series and then just realise, actually, no, Formula One is the pinnacle, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, yeah, we'll have to come back. And then you won't have to pay them. So let them go. Honestly, just let them go. Just call their bluff. Because I'm sick of it as well. Because when I heard that
let me put this in another way for the listeners, yeah? In this scenario, Ferrari is Britain and Formula One is Europe.
Right.
Let's have a Frexit, damn it. And let's see how well that goes for them.
Oh, no. No.
I know. I made myself sad. But I stand by the analogy.
Okay, cool. All right.
So, yeah.
Anything else about this Ferrari fiasco? Will we see Ferrari next year, or will we see them pulling out in the next 5 years?
Well, if they were going to pull out at all, it'll be for 2021.
Right.
And no, they won't. Because unfortunately, I do suspect Liberty Media will cave I think this is largely posturing more than anything else. Mm-hmm. Because as I said, the teams have been involved in developing these regulations since the beginning of the year. It's not like these suddenly arrived and were a huge shock to everyone.
Yeah.
So it's like, so wait a minute, you've helped us develop these, and now we've said, okay, here's the proposals. You're like, going, no, 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 no. And again, let's not forget, Ross Brawn is one of these guys on the Liberty Media side. He knows all their fucking tricks. He made up half of these tricks.
Of course, yeah, he was involved in a lot of it as well. And you got John Totter as well that was involved in a lot of it. So
yeah, it's the poacher's become the gamekeeper there a little bit.
Yeah.
So no, as much as I would like to see Ferrari go forth and multiply, they won't. They'll still be here. But yeah, it just irritates me how much Formula One, sucks them off, and it's just like, please stop. I don't like Ferrari. I don't. I mean, like I said, they're always they're the pantomime villains to me.
Yeah.
They just are, because of they're the rich kids. They're the lofty black knight. Going after the plucky upcomers. They're just any kind of bad movie stereotype that is Ferrari.
Yeah. Oh, I have a special place in my heart for a Ferrari because they were on the way down when I first started really watching Formula One, and they were down for quite a while, and it's like, hang on, Ferrari haven't won for about 5 years. What the hell's going on? This isn't right. And then it was a slow creep back up to the top again. But I would miss them if they honestly did go. But I'd get over it pretty quick as soon as the wheels started turning on the first race without them.
Yeah, so. Well, I mean, once upon a time, someone said the same thing about Tyrrell. Once upon a time, someone said the same thing about Brabham.
Lotus as well.
Lotus, Ford. It's end of the day. I'm sorry, Ferrari. No one's bigger than the sport.
Yeah.
Well, no one should be bigger than the sport. I'll grant you, they're probably going to cave. They just shouldn't.
Okay, right. Should we get on to the actual race then?
I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to flash through the free practices because there's a few things. I think qualifying is more interesting than anything, really.
Really? I can't imagine what possibly happened there.
Yeah. Well, let's get on to that in a second. FP1, we had Brandon Hartley engine blowing straight away within 20 minutes of him, the session starting. I think he was on maybe his second lap when his engine just expired and threw bits all over the track.
Yes.
We had Hamilton taken to the grass as Hulkenberg got a little too close. And we also had radio communication between Max Verstappen and his wall. And the question was, how are the tyres, Max? And all you heard was a beep. Copy. And that was it. Which I thoroughly enjoyed. So yeah, I think he was having trouble with the tyres. It was quite cold and blustery on the Friday and the Saturday as well, wasn't it? So
oh yeah,
and a spot of rain, I think. Before they actually turned a wheel, there was a huge amount of water dropped on the Interlagos circuit. So we have that there. FP2, Alonso was pissed about only having 5 laps after a water leak. And no, that was it with him. Ericsson tapped the walls. At one point he ended up spinning and just busting the right rear. FP3, Stroll had a big engine problem. It's a gearbox problem, which resulted in him having a 5 grid penalty, I think it was. Hang on, let me have a look. Yeah, 5-place grid penalty on this Sunday. He was coming up towards turn 5, I think it was. Yeah. No, he'd gone through turn 3, 4, 5. He'd coming up towards turn 6. And all of a sudden, his engine just went, wee! And then cut out straight away. It's as if like a drive shaft broke in there. But yeah, the amount of torque that went on there was just not impressive at all. So he had to pull over and later incurred a 5 grid penalty place. The Red Bulls were, all weekend, they were limited by mileage because they're coming towards the end of their lives on these motors, and they're struggling. They really are struggling. I think they were trying to save themselves for the race, but it didn't really seem to work. I think they've shot their load, really, which is really disappointing because I had massive hopes for Red Bull for this track. It just seemed, I thought that they were going to suit this track a lot more than what they did, and no, it just didn't happen. Didn't happen at all. And Verstappen had a bit of a spin where he nicked a little bit too much on the final curbs. He touched the grass, spun around, but he managed to get it back. So there's not a lot to be said about that. As you said earlier on, the Renault and Torro Rosso thing kicked off in between FP2 and FP3.
Yeah.
So that was
reports of Alan Prost being seen behind the hill somewhere, rubbing his hands together.
Oh dear. So qualifying then, yeah? Let's do a bit of qualifying.
Oh, hang about. There's one bit of news we forgot to mention.
Oh, okay, go on.
Massa's retired again.
Oh, okay.
We'll get to it later. I just, felt it worth mentioning.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay, so qualifying. Well, the lights went green, and Hamilton and I think it was Ericsson and Bottas came out the pit and went round a couple of corners. Hamilton went into 6 and then lost the back end and ended up stuffing it into the wall.
It was a strange one, wasn't it?
It was very, very strange. Yeah, he just lost grip on the rears and totally lost control, sided it into the wall and ripped off the whole side, really, didn't he?
Well, I mean, it was more the front wishbone and the front tyre went.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, the car had been bottoming out coming up to 6. And then, but that just kind of stepped out and only stepped out about, I don't know, maybe half a meter. Uh-huh. And then it stayed and then it all went full wheel sideways to the scene of the accident.
Yeah.
And it was just a weird one. I mean, I don't know if he'd maybe tried turning the wheel or something and gotten it to roll and he'd have been, because again, if the wheels are sliding, you've got no control because brakes aren't going to do anything.
Mm.
You need the wheels to be rotating to have any kind of control. But yeah, he had no control. Boom, straight into it. And then, he just kind of sat there for a while and everyone was a little bit worried at first, but he wasn't okay because again, we don't like seeing drivers not getting out of cars immediately.
No, I totally agree. I was sat there watching him in the car and thinking, has he moved? What's going on? Because it didn't seem a massive impact, but...
Oh, we could see it moving, but it kind of reminded me a little bit of maybe Schumacher in Silverstone that time.
Right.
Where, okay, that was a much bigger impact, but at the same time, it wasn't bigger than anything else we'd ever seen before. And you can see the head moving, but they weren't getting out. And it's like, okay, has something happened? Because the way the front wishbone had kind of come back on, there was always the worry, has something protruded into the monocoque or something like that.
Yeah.
But, he came on after a minute and just said, I'm okay. I don't know if he was maybe shaken. He's probably just pissed at himself more than anything.
Yeah, I think he was really pissed off with himself, gutted, because I think he had a nail on pole position, really, the way that he'd been acting all the way through the rest of the weekend. He was pretty much on top of everything, and he had it under control. So I think he was in a little bit of shock as well, because he walked around, he just put his hood up and skulked around for the rest of the day, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he was having a bit of a sulk. I mean, I think the criticism that he kind of gave up at the end of 2015, wasn't interested, hurt him a bit. So he wanted to show that no, I've still got the hunger, I'm still going to win, I'm not going to let that happen again this time. And then when something like that happened, it just like, well, shit.
Yeah. What was your first reactions when you actually saw it then? Apart from worry, and because none of us want to see a driver injured in these situations, but were you happy with this? Were you looking forward to the race with him battling through the pack?
I suppose my first reaction was just like, fuck. Because I'm pretty sure I had him down as either pole or win on my on our little competition at the end there. But then it was just more of it was just a strange accident. That's just what it was. It was just one of those I'm not entirely sure how that happened. So I actually thought something broke on the car. I thought maybe the diff broke or something like that.
Right.
Because the way it just kind of spun him around and then went into it, it just didn't look like a driver's error sort of crash. But
But it was mid corner, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah.
So he'd already made it into the corner. He was going through the process of going through the corner where it just lost. This is one of the things I do like about these cars, because remember in Australia and the very first couple of races that we had, where they were saying about the shark fin affecting the grip and maybe people getting caught out by crosswinds.
Yeah.
If you think about it, right, these cars are now wider. They got more grip. They got more aero grip than they've ever had. They've got wider tyres, so they got more mechanical grip from the tyres than they've ever had.
Yeah.
So that means once you lose that grip, you've got more grip to lose. And once that's gone, you're going to have a bigger slide.
Yep.
So I'm more surprised that there haven't been more spins throughout the whole season and more big names having bigger spins. So it is a bit disappointing, but I suppose they've got control of these cars now, because it really did seem like everyone was losing it at the very beginning of the season. But yeah, I suppose once you go over that threshold of once the tyres cry that they can't do anymore, then that's it. You're gone, really, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Well, once that goes, it's game over, man. It's game over.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So that brought out the red flag, which gave Williams a little bit extra time to set up Stroll's car, because they had to change the gearbox in his car.
Yes.
Then we had, what did we have? We had Grosjean driving around with half of his T-wing missing. Don't think it made any difference. I reckon he could have ripped half of his bodywork off and it wouldn't have made that car any faster.
Yeah.
So at the end of that session, we lost Hamilton, Ericsson, Stroll, Gasly, and Verline.
Yep. Hamilton had to get permission from the stewards because he wasn't able to set a time within 107%.
Once again, I'm really just hoping that they sit back, cross their arms and go, you want to race, do you, Mr. Hamilton?
What's it worth to you?
Okay, Q2. What do we have? Max Verstappen very nearly missing a weighbridge.
That was a weird moment, wasn't it? Definitely, I think some cloud. Why don't we just radio? I mean, surely Charlie can override the radios and just send a message. Yeah,
car number 33 come in.
Yeah, I mean, and we see this in what's it called? IndyCar, don't we? Race control can radio the cars.
Yes.
We see it in LMP1 as well. In WEC. I don't see why Charlie doesn't have the ability to speak to the cars direct.
Yeah.
But it was weird because you had Alonso coming into the pits up the hill and then Verstappen, and they were pretty much side by side when the light went red to indicate going into the weighbridge.
It was all very confusing, wasn't it?
It really was. It was just messy.
Yeah, and luckily enough, Max hadn't gone too far. He'd stopped on the line at some sort in some sort of position. They waved Alonso on, and Alonso kind of had to go around Max to get back into his pit box. But yeah, it was just a mess, and you can see why, because Max Verstappen's vision of a marshal calling him over for a weighbridge, I'm sure he would have gone straight in there if he'd seen it, if he didn't have a car in front of him. And then having the light and coming up the hill, on the crest of the hill, the light just pops over the top, and it's all very confusing. So yeah, maybe some of this could have been avoided if they'd just had a radio message saying, yeah, car 33, come into the weighbridge when you come into the pits.
Come in, car 33, your time is up.
Exactly, yeah. So in Q2, we lost Hartley, Magnussen, Van Dorn, Grosjean, and Ocon.
Yep, Hartley, he had an engine go pop, didn't he?
Oh, that's right, yes. Yeah. Again. Yeah.
Again, reports of Alan Prost being seen nearby, rubbing his hands together, were unconfirmed.
Oh dear. Q3, we had Massa blocking Sainz and then Sainz returning the favour when Massa was nearly losing it like Hamilton. When did? Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, at the very top near turn 6 again. He kind of blocked him, went into the corner and nearly lost it, but luckily he caught hold of it.
So just very quickly about that whole thing. So Sainz blocked Massa, right?
Massa blocked Sainz first off.
Yeah, but that wasn't this session. I heard that was from earlier in the weekend, from one of the FP sessions.
I thought it was in Q3 because it was unseen. I didn't see that. That's what I heard.
It was unseen, but I'd heard at least this, because this gets into a he said, she said sort of thing.
Oh,
but
okay.
Massa said it was when he spoke to Sainz. Sainz said the reason he did it was not revenge, but because he'd done it to him earlier in the weekend, and so it was a little bit of revenge or playback. But then when he was asked, Sainz flatly denied that was the thing. And when he said he was confirming that that's what Massa thought happened, not what did happen. It was very messy, very silly, and unfortunately nothing more came of it. But
these are grown men driving very fast cars. What's the matter with them?
Well, no. To be fair, Verstappen is like 12, so
yeah. Okay. These are mostly grown men. What is the matter with them?
Well, certainly when it's Massa and Sainz. I mean, they're certainly the older spectrum. Yeah.
Jeez.
Well, they should be anyway.
I give up. I really do give up. Really do. Throughout the session, we had a little bit of rain. We had the rain lights on as well.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit of spitting, as it were.
Yeah. And Bottas got pole position. Now, I thought I don't know if he had a cracking lap, but he timed it to perfection with being one of the last cars over the line and grabbing it off of Vettel. Because Vettel made a couple of mistakes on his fastest lap and then didn't put in the effort on his final lap and kind of lost out on pole position by his own means. I think he could have grabbed it and expected Bottas not to go any faster, but yeah, he did. And he grabbed pole position. So we ended up with one Mercedes at the very front and one Mercedes at the very, very back.
They're in a Mercedes sandwich.
Yeah, that's right. So I didn't see much of Bottas's lap, but I thought, yeah, fair play to him. He stepped up when it was needed.
Yeah, no, he did it. He did something. We saw Vettel when he realised that it wasn't for him, kind of hang his head a little bit, and just couldn't quite believe it.
That's the one that got away, really, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So our top 10 stood like this. Before all the group penalties were applied, we had Massa, Sainz, Hülkenberg, Alonso, Perez, Ricciardo, Verstappen, Raikkonen, Vettel, and Bottas.
And I'll just read out the list of penalties because that's always fun.
Yep.
Daniel Ricciardo received a 10-place grid penalty for exceeding his quota of power unit components. Brendan Hartley received a 10-place grid penalty for exceeding his quota of power unit components. Pierre Gasly received a 25-place grid penalty for exceeding his quota of power unit components. That's 3 Renault engines right there. Lance Stroll received a 5-place grid penalty for a gearbox change. Marcus Ericsson received a 5-place grid penalty for a gearbox change. And because Lewis failed to set time with 107%, he had to start from the back, and then he decided to have a gearbox and a power unit change and just start from the pit lane anyway. So he had a brand spanking new engine fitted.
Fair play. You cannot blame me for doing that, can you?
No, especially since this one came from Spinal Tap because it goes all the way up to 11.
Well, yeah, it seemed like that throughout the race, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so how would you like to go through the race? Do you want to go through the way that they retired and the finishing positions? Because I think that might work. Or we can just go throughout the race in chronological order.
I think let's do the start and the first lap, because that's like where a lot of the action happened.
Okay.
And then, as you describe, we can go on from there.
Okay, cool. Okay, so the start, we had Bottas on pole position lining up against Vettel. There was a bit of kerfuffle going around Kimi Raikkonen's car just before the start because, Ferrari like to do this to us, don't they? They like to
like a bit of drama.
Oh, they just like to. Well, this has been happening it happened at least 2 other times, and maybe more, where they've got engineers looking at their car with laptops plugged into their car, going, "I don't know. Do you know? I don't know." And that's what it looked
like.
See,
I always thought they were just playing Minesweeper.
Well, that maybe that's the thing, because nobody could ever play Minesweeper and be like, "Well, I don't know. It says 25 in that box there. I don't know. What does that mean?"
What you do is you make the grid massive, but have only like one mine, and then you just click anything and you win.
I don't like people like you. I don't like people like you at all. Anyway, so yeah, there was a panic around there. It just turned out that it was a telemetry problem going from the car to the pit wall. So they weren't getting all the data that they required. I think the car was ticking over quite sweetly.
The car spent too much time with Kimi.
Maybe, yes.
Not communicating very well.
Oh, come on, he's all right. It's just the way he is. That's just the way he is.
It was quite funny in Q2 when his engineer says, "We think we're safe, but we're going to go and do another lap." And he goes, "Well, what do you want me to do? Am I safe? Am I not safe?"
That was, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That was a bit confusing. So you're safe, but you want to run again. Why? Why put mileage on everything? I just don't understand. Why?
I'm either safe or I'm not.
Well, yeah, if you're not safe. And he was in P1 at that time as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So you're telling me I'm not safe. That means everyone else is not safe. I give up. I really give up. Anyway, okay, right, the start. We had Vettel jumping Bottas into turn 1, going into the S's. And I think he was quite lucky to get the jump on him, because he looked like he got a bit of wheel spin. Sounded like Bottas got a bit of wheel spin going into the first corner as well.
It's your favourite thing, isn't it? The whole second stage. Notice the finger quotes. Second stage of the start.
Second stage, yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ. Just have a clutch and a pedal, please.
Yeah.
None of this hand-controlled clutch malarkey. So, yeah, he got the jump on him and went through the centre S's, which honestly, I don't like the name of that. Honestly.
Why not?
I don't know. Do you know? I don't know. I think it's because when Senna died, then everything became the centre S's. Everything was, we got the centre S's in.
But of all of the race courses in all of the world,
yeah,
to have a corner called the centre S's.
Yeah, it works.
This seems like the one to have it at.
Yes, yeah, you're right. I don't know why it bugs me a little bit, but it's only very slightly. It only bugs me slightly, but. So, yeah, they got through. A couple other cars didn't get through, though. And they included Van Dorn and Magnussen and Ricciardo. They all came together, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Well, it looked like Van Dorn got squeezed by, I want to say, a Force India. Possibly Ocon.
Right.
And I think... can't remember who the other one was. But anyway, he got squeezed. And then Magnussen came alongside and gave him a bit of a punt. And punted him into Ricciardo.
Mm.
And that was that.
Yeah, I blame Magnussen for this.
I always blame Magnussen. If the Haas drivers were involved in something, I'm blaming them.
Oh, yeah.
Based solely on a train of evidence leading all the way back to Australia.
Yeah. Oh, man. Do you remember when we actually liked Haas?
Those halcyon days.
Yeah.
We were more innocent back then.
Yeah. I don't mind the team. If they painted their car a different colour and got rid of the 2 grumpy drivers that think they're the bee's knees, then yeah, I think I might like them again.
Well, I've gone off quite a bit off of bloody Grosjean, and he'd been redeeming himself quite nicely, and then now it's just like, not so much.
Yeah. But I feel in this instance, Magnussen could have given them a little bit more room. He seemed to try and push them off the curb on turn 3, going into turn 3.
Yeah.
And yet he kind of opened up his steering wheel a little bit. It was just, you kind of need to give people room a little. Come on, just a little. just a little, so we can all get through the corners. You know, we all enjoy cars spinning and carbon fibre going everywhere every now and again, but come on, guys, you know, play fair.
Yeah, it was a bit messy, a bit unfortunate. Fortunately for Ricciardo, he managed to carry on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there was any serious damage, but, you know, he did decide to pit anyway for safety's sakes. The safety car was deployed. But even after the safety car had been deployed, we had an incident between Grosjean and Ocon.
Right.
Yeah. Which...
a Haas, you say? A Haas?
A Haas? What are the odds, sir? I honestly believe that Grosjean was slipped a manila envelope with unmarked, non-sequential bills from Sergio Perez. But yeah, basically, Ocon was going around the outside of, it was turn 6. No, it was turn 5, wasn't it?
Yeah, going into turn 6.
Going into turn 6. And effectively, Grosjean had an accident all on his own and took out Ocon.
Yeah. Oh. That's the last person I want to be going round on the outside of a corner on the first lap. Really. You know, the guy can have an accident in a supermarket, can't he?
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
So, yeah, he's taken out. You say as the safety car had already been deployed. Do you... Because I watched this a couple of times. Do you think the safety car had been deployed? Do you know if they were aware of the safety car being deployed at that time or what?
It was pretty much at that. I mean, I reckon if they'd made it through the corner, they'd have had SC flashing up on their dashboards or something like that.
Well, if you watch the video, as Ocon is going into the barriers or going towards the barriers and Grosjean is going backwards off the track, you can see safety car flashing up on one of the boards. But I believe as Ocon went around him, there was no safety car.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think at the point of the accident it was, because if there was, he'd have definitely been stung with a penalty a lot quicker than he was.
Yeah.
But I just think, you know, it was kind of borderline.
Yeah. So who'd you blame for the first one? You blame Magnussen for the first one?
Yeah.
And for the second one, who'd you blame for that? Are they just racing incidents or what?
I mean, they are racing incidents, but the person instigating the incidents in both instances was driving a Haas.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad we both think that then.
Yeah. It's nice to have it, you know, an accord.
Yeah. Yeah, Magnussen, yeah, he calls that. And I don't think Grosjean was attempting to hit Ocon at all.
Well, no, because he was just having his own accident. Yeah, Ocon just happened to get in the way of it.
He just oversteered and just, yeah. He would have been off anyway, wouldn't he? If anything, Ocon stopped him from going into the wall.
Yeah, I suppose there's that. I think with Grosjean there, it was probably just looking at form over the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And, you know, they probably said, you know what, we've only got a couple more chances in which to penalise you, so fuck it, we're going to do it now.
Do you know, I like Ocon's tenacity on trying to get a car with only 2 wheels back to the pits.
Oh, yeah. That is dedication.
Yeah.
Although still the best instance of that of all time will be Spa 98 with Schumacher and Coulthard.
Oh.
going back with a McLaren with no rear wing and a Ferrari with only 3 wheels on his wagon.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that. How stiff was that car?
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay. So Grosjean picked up a penalty for this.
Yes, a 10-second penalty. Which he didn't actually end up serving until quite late in the race, didn't he?
That's right, yeah. And he got 2 penalty points as well.
2 penalty points added to his licence, which I'm sure won't do a huge amount for the rest of the season. But as we know, if you get, is it 5?
Oh, 9 or 10, isn't it?
Oh, well, when you reach a certain number of penalty points, you have an automatic race ban. But yeah, I can't see that troubling him anytime soon. I mean, the other big thing to come out of the safety car period really was it allowed Hamilton and Ricciardo and Hamilton to close up on the field because he had started in the pit lane, but it allowed Ricciardo and I think Wehrlein to pit and join the end of a train as well. So pretty much everyone was more or less in the same spot.
Right. Okay, so we had the safety car out for 6 laps.
Yep. Which seemed a bit excessive, if I'm honest. Also, it was fun watching them all go through the pit lane. They're doing that quite a bit of late.
I like that.
I like it, but did you see? It definitely shows just how steep that pit lane entrance is.
Mm. Yeah, and the gradient is totally different to the actual racetrack as well.
Oh, yeah.
Totally different. So, yeah, I don't mind them doing that. I wouldn't want them doing it every time for no reason whatsoever, but I think there was a bit of debris down at the bottom after the Red Bull and the Van Dorn came together, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was just, there was a lot of cars to clear, and it was just quicker to go through the pit lane, and fair enough.
Cool. Vettel's restart, I just want to pick your brains on this a little bit, because he was doing the stabbing the throttle and then letting it drift
stopping,
off.
starting. Yeah, a little bit.
He didn't look like he was applying brakes. He just looked like he was stabbing the throttle, and which had that concertina effect on everything. I didn't like that. I thought that was a no-no, and nobody pulled him up on it.
Well, again, I think if you're not using the brakes and the telemetry backs it up, it's okay.
Mm.
But yeah, given him being very vocal about behaviour when acting as the safety car, and given events that maybe happened in, say, Baku, boy's got a nerve.
Certainly
in
has.
my humble opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, Bottas was definitely being very wary of him. And yeah, I mean, if Bottas had gone into the back of him, I'd have entirely said, well, it is your own stupid fault.
That's right, yeah. That's right. Well, one thing that I wonder about these restarts, I know that, is there a rule that you have to be behind the car? Or can you go side by side with the cars? Why don't they go side by side more?
I think you have to be behind the car.
Right.
Also, plus, I suppose, depending where you are in the racing line and stuff like that, you're going to have more grip initially coming off of the racing line as opposed to the dirty side of a track.
Yeah, yeah.
Plus, you want to try and get. I mean, I'm sure there's reasons. If they were allowed to do it and there was an advantage to doing it, they would do it.
Yeah, you're right there. Yeah, it just one thing that puzzled me a little bit today. It was just one of them moments where I'm like, why don't they do that?
Because shut up, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then the moment passed, and then it was gone. So Vettel was a bit of a naughty boy doing that. So where do you want to go from here? Because did we lose anyone else? I think Brandon Hartley was the only other person we lost.
Yeah, he had to retire. He was given a whole shout to retire. Interesting fact, this is the first time Esteban Ocon has not finished a Grand Prix.
Yep, that's right.
Out of 27 races. There's that. I think let's talk through the field as, anything of interest. I mean, I think one thing I want to have a chat about is just, Ricciardo and Hamilton's march through the field, which was quite possibly the single most entertaining thing in the entire race.
Okay.
Because, I mean, watching those guys go through, and okay, for most of those cars, they had much faster cars. That's fine, fair enough. But this almost felt like what Formula One should be. In that, if you can get behind the car, you should be able to pass the car. Not this whole kind of like being stuck behind, dirty air. I mean, because as soon as he caught up with Kimi, all the excitement went out. It was just big build up, and it's a damp squib.
Mm.
It just petered out because up until that point, Hamilton had been mighty going up that hill. And it was just like left, right. I don't care. I'm just coming through. He was like on a fucking steam train powering through there. And that was great, just because there was none of that. You get stuck behind. I mean, you sit behind the car for 27 laps before you can pass. He caught them, set it up, passed them. That was great. And then once he reached Kimi, it was just like, Ricciardo again. He was passing in places no man should pass in the dry.
Do you know what? No, I think they are opportunities to pass. It's just people don't utilise them sort of opportunities anymore.
Oh, I'm not criticising. I love them. I think they're great. But it is, like you said, you don't see people doing it. No. So when someone does do it, you go like, how did he do that? It's witchcraft.
Or it's just a place where you can pass. See, there was still drivers turning around and saying, oh yeah, it's really hard to pass here. I know we turned around and null and voided that sort of saying a couple of races ago where, okay, just accept it. But this is one of the tracks where you can just go out and just try and make a pass on any corner on the circuit.
Oh God, yeah.
So, go for it, guys. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just watching those cars go through the field was awesome.
It did help that he had a new engine in the back of that Mercedes.
Well, this again, it kind of like it is kind of a damning indictment of the current regulations, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's that if you put an engine in, you can turn it all the way up to 11, as he did, because this one is from Spinal Tap and goes all the way to 11. It's just like, well, why can't we do that all the time? And none of this, engine saving, fuel saving, tyre saving bollocks. No, this was just, and this was sort of entertaining about it. Lewis was like, well, I got fuck all to lose. It's 168 miles to Chicago. We've got a full tank of gas, and we're wearing sunglasses. Let's hit it.
Yeah.
And that was great. He seemed like he had not a care in the world.
With the engines, I think we're at not a crossroads, but either you should be allowed a new engine per race, which they don't want to do because it costs far too much, or you have an engine that does the whole season, where the engineers will build an engine to survive a whole season. Now, it's no good trying to build it for 3 or 4 races, because that's where the tolerances come in and you start getting a lot of wear on these engines. If you build a solid unit that no holes barred, will be bulletproof throughout the whole season, then that's it. That's your engine. Go race it. I think that'll be a better approach to it.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I think a lot of the problem here is, and this goes all the way back to the rant at the top of it, is the engine regulations have failed to achieve the goals they wanted to achieve. And it's very clear now, Formula One has no real relevance to manufacturers in terms of testing technology or anything like this. The entire auto industry is going electric. So, that's why they're all over playing in Formula E. And I'm fine with that. Do it there. Do it in WEC as well, where you want your car to last 24 hours straight, because that's more relevant to the manufacturers. Formula One, it should just be entertainment. It's just fun. So yeah, I would personally would rather they stick a brand new engine in each week, but the engine's got to be cheap enough that doing that over 21 races is still cheaper than 5 of these fucking units.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, make it real simple. I'm not saying a 2-stroke engine, because that would just not work. But
no, you're thinking of MotoGP.
yeah. No, I don't even know. V8, V10. Put a solid unit there, get you through a race and change it every race.
Yeah,
and that's it. Then you.
Or
can.
even not for a race. Maybe it's just one of those ones where you do it and there's an incentive for using less engines. So, a cash incentive or a points incentive or something like that. I don't know. But all I'm saying is they shouldn't be. I mean, again, those engines are a miracle of technology, but they cost so fucking much to achieve it.
A constructor would start off with 20 points each at the start of the season, and you can use 20 engines. But for every engine you don't use, you keep a point.
Yeah, something like that.
It's incentive to either just use all your engines and hope you can claw back these points, or you got 20 points already straight off the board. So yeah, it's something to work on, I feel.
I think there's definitely some room for exploration in that manner. But yeah, it's just when you see what Lewis could do with this engine cranked all the way up, it was hugely impressive. Right up until the point he got to the gearbox of that Ferrari.
Yeah.
And then that's when you reach the Formula One that I detest, where you just sit there, and I don't care if he's struggling in turbulent air. I don't care if his tyres have given up the ghost. I don't give a fuck about any of that. All I know is he got to there and he sat there, and it was boring.
Yeah. Okay.
It just was. And that's what I meant about the end just didn't quite measure up to the excitement up until that point. Because again, that entire race, he was writing a check for a fight with Vettel at the end, but he refused to cash.
Yeah. Do you reckon Bottas would have let him through?
He would have let him, but would the team have?
Right.
And I think what they might have done is they might have let him through to see if he could get ahead of Vettel and then slow Vettel down into Bottas.
Right.
But if he couldn't, he would have probably then very quickly let Bottas through and finish third to allow the second place fight to carry on.
Right.
I don't know, but yeah, it was just up until that point, watching Lewis car through that field, and quite a few other drivers as well. It felt like, yes, finally cars can overtake. And watching Ricciardo is always a delight.
Some of his moves were brilliant, honestly.
Yeah. And again, you really got the sense they were having fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of the guys out there were having fun from the front to the back. There was a point where Verstappen, I think they're asking him, how's it going over the radio? And he went, yeah, it's nice and sunny. Like, what? That's brilliant. Oh, Hartley had problems with his radio as well. I forgot to mention that. And there was a point where it was radio check. Hartley, can you hear us? I would have loved for him, because the radio came back on. I would love for him to turn around and say, yeah, sorry, I was on the other line. I was just ordering a pizza. But alas, when you're driving 200 miles an hour, the only thing you're thinking of is driving 200 miles an hour.
Yes, it does seem to take up quite a bit of their mental processes.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, those two had a fantastic charge. Respect to Alonso in his GP2-powered McLaren for a really entertaining fight with Felipe Massa for the most part. I wish we'd seen more of it, to be honest, because every time we cut to it, it just seemed really interesting. But the fact is, the Mercedes engine is universally regarded as the strongest engine on the grid field. And he managed to get that Honda to stick with it.
Yeah, he was sticking in the DRS, wasn't he?
He was sticking with DRS. He was what did he say? He was he was making like a what are those fish? Lamprey fish, is it? And he was just sticking to them and getting pulled up the hill. Oh, so it's the only way he could stick with them.
yeah, like the fish that hung around the mouths of sharks.
The more fish, I think it is. But anyway, he was sticking onto them and getting tagged along, and then he was able to stay with them during the technical bits. But he wasn't quite. He didn't have the speed down the straight to really make the challenge. But he fought tooth and nail every step of the way. And it was, again, just really entertaining. And especially at the end where you had him, Massa and Perez all fighting over 8th place, going over the edge. That was really entertaining.
Which is a battle we didn't really see, which I was a bit disappointed about.
I'm surprised as well, because given that, it's usually the local director controls the world feed, you'd thought they just planted the camera on Massa and kept it there.
Yeah.
Should we speak very briefly about Massa?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, because it was his last Brazilian Grand Prix, wasn't it?
It was his last Brazilian Grand Prix again. And we did mention last time, we didn't think how they could top the way it ended last time.
Yeah.
I think this worked. I think this was a nice way to do it, though. He had a great fight, came out on top of the fight. You know, he was best of the rest. I mean, the only things in front of him were Mercedes, Ferraris, and Red Bulls. Yeah. So best of the rest. So he finished fifth. No, he finished seventh. Yeah, but you know that was great. And then at the end, they pulled his car to the front of Parc Fermé, and then you had Alonso standing next to his McLaren applauding him. And you know, I'm sure they're both sick of hearing the whole Alonso is faster than you thing. But you know, it was just nice to see Alonso give that little bit of respect there. You know,
I would have loved for all the other drivers to have been a bit switched on and maybe giving him a bit of a guard of honour as he came up that pit lane. That
would have been awesome. Although I just don't know. I don't know how the logistics of that would work, but that would have been cool.
Well, they could all just got it switched on. Him just had a little word before the race. You know, okay, hopefully Massa he'll take a slow lap in. If he's still there at the end, then hopefully he'll take it all in, and we all get into Parc Fermé, and then we just clap him as he comes in. How amazing would them scenes have been?
Oh yeah, no, it would have been amazing. It would have been up there with the whole Senna getting a lift back from Mansell, that sort of thing. Yeah. But you know, still, it was a nice thing. You know, I mean, obviously they forgot to pack the Brazilian flag, so we only had a green flag for the.
He nicked a Marshall flag, didn't he?
He nicked a Marshall's flag. That's close enough. It's the right colour. But yeah, you know, it was a nice end there. You know, everyone gave him a hug, and then he got on the podium at the end as well. So there you go.
With Rubinho as well. He was on the podium as well, wasn't he? And
yeah, he came on the radio, didn't he? And said, his kid came on the radio and said, "Oh, I'm very proud of you, Daddy."
Oh God, yes. And after the weekend I've had, no, nearly tipped me over. I was like, no, I don't need this right now. I'm in a bit of a pickle at the moment, so no, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought again, you know. Last year, it was a sad end to his thing, you know, him spinning out like that. But, you know, it was nice to see the applause as he walked up the pit lane. This time it was nice that, you know, he finished the race, finished well, and, you know, he got some respect there and everything. You know, more power to him. So, yes.
Finished really well.
Oh, yeah.
With heat.
Frankly, if he'd done that for the rest of the season, it wouldn't be his last race.
No, that's right, yeah. No, he finished it really well with a lot of heat on his back as well. And I think if it was just the Force India behind him, he may have struggled a little bit more. But Fernando Alonso in a McLaren, you fended him off. Yeah, man, that was good. Yep. Massa's never been my favourite driver, but I've got respect for him, definitely.
Oh, yeah. And again, it's a shame. I think next year will be the first time since 1982 of no Brazilian drivers in the field.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, didn't realise that.
It's been a long time.
Yeah.
So there you go. So there was that. I mean, that was kind of it in terms of the stuff which stood out for me. Anything else stand out for you?
Grosjean, when he was told he had a 10-second penalty, he was like, "What? What for? For that?
Yeah.
No."
They never told him about it earlier.
I love that. I don't even think they should have told him. They should have just pulled him in, stood around his car for 10 seconds, and just watched him freak out in his car, going, "Why are you not putting my tyres on? Touch my car. Do something." And then all of a sudden, it's like, "Are you guys doing the mannequin thing? I don't know." Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, that was fun. We had some fastest laps and a new lap record, which was quite fun watching. Lewis was setting, pretty fast laps, 111s, 111.9, 111.8.
Yep.
And the lap record was a 111.4 from Juan Pablo Montoya in a Williams from back in 2004.
Oh, wow.
And then that was V10 days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Verstappen was complaining about his tyres not being very good. And his engineer's like, "Well, we'd rather you stay out." And he goes, "Oh, but why? I'm 30 seconds ahead of Ricardo. He's not going to give me any grief. And, you know, I can't race with these. I can't have fun. Let me pit."
You know exactly what he wants.
So they pitted him. And it turns out he gets a bonus for setting the fastest lap. So as soon as he pitted, he was out, new lap record.
Oh, because he signed a new contract as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, cheeky little sod.
I don't think he did it for the money. More for the kudos, but it was just like, nice. Yeah.
Come on, if you've got like a 20 grand bonus for setting the fastest lap, I think you'd be like, do you know what? I fancy a trip. I fancy a trip this weekend. Where shall I go? And you've paid all your tax on your duty frees straight away.
Yeah. So yeah, set a far nearly half a second faster as well. So yeah, respect.
Bottas undercutting and forcing Ferrari to pit, which once again is a little worrying for Ferrari. They're always reacting instead of actually forcing the issue.
A little bit, yeah. They're always more inclined to play it safe, and I think that's largely down to no one wants to be held responsible. No one wants to be singled out as having made a bad call. But at the end of the day, he got out with track position, and again, once he was out in front, by the end of a lap, he was 2 car lengths ahead.
Yeah.
And that was that. And it was just, it's just disappointing. And again, that's, they've got to do something about these cars so they can overtake.
Yeah, would be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be.
Yeah, and I don't think Bottas is the man to take the fight to Vettel or Ferrari in that sort of situation. I think he's got the speed on a one lap, and I think he needs the undercut to get anywhere near him. But I think in days gone past, you would have seen that happen, and you would have had a car who'd already had an extra lap on tyres, and so the tyres would have been up to racing temperature, and the Ferrari was coming out on warmed tyres, but they weren't up to speed as such.
Yeah.
And someone, I think Mika Häkkinen would have taken advantage of that. If that was Schumacher and Häkkinen would have been able to get somehow past the Ferrari.
Yeah, I think Bottas, I don't know if he has a mentality of a 2 driver, but he is the David Coulthard to Lewis's Mika Häkkinen.
Yes.
The Eddie Irvine to Lewis's Michael Schumacher.
Yeah.
The Felipe Massa to Lewis's Fernando Alonso, if you take my meaning.
Yes. Ricardo, no, not Ricardo Rosset. That's a bit too bad.
Yeah, no, we wouldn't do that. But Mark Webber to no, he's not that.
No.
But yeah, I just don't think he has the maturity, the clarity,
racecraft.
the cojones.
I think it's more racecraft.
Perhaps racecraft, and again, perhaps it will come in time. But yeah, at the minute, it's just new.
No. Okay. Anything else? Because Hamilton did a nice move on Perez, going around the outside of turn 1. A point where I think he was in the DRS, coming up alongside, jinxed one way. Perez went to cover it, and he went, okay, fine, I'll just go around this way instead, which was nice. But, we've already spoken about Hamilton carving his way through there, but I just thought that was a move of note to be made.
Yeah, I think, the only overtake that was really interesting was when Hamilton was going through the Alonso-Massa fight. That was just, he carved through that quite neatly. There was something with Stroll as well, wasn't there? Stroll's tyre, he complained about a flat spot, and then a couple of laps later it started delaminating. That's
right, yeah. I think he did a flat spot, and then he flat spotted the flat spot.
Well, he did a flat spot, and then he was on the radio saying, I've done a flat spot, I've got terrible vibration, and they were all saying, well, tough, basically.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I can't drive like this. And they just said, well, tough. And then like a few laps later, the things started tearing itself apart. I don't think it damaged the car, but it certainly ruined what was left of his race. But it just wasn't his weekend, really, was it?
Not really. Not one to write home about. No, definitely not.
No, definitely not. But yeah, I think that was about it.
Yeah.
Nothing else. I mean, again, it was entertaining watching, but it was mostly entertaining just watching Hamilton and Ricciardo car through the field, because for a brief, glorious moment, it looked like Formula One cars could overtake again.
Yeah.
And again, the Massa-Alonso fight, what we saw of it, and that was also entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Good.
That's that.
Okay, so our winner today was Sebastian Vettel in the Ferrari.
He was.
He beat Valtteri Bottas and Kimi Räikkönen to third position. Lewis Hamilton worked his way up from the back of the pit lane to fourth position.
Yes.
Max Verstappen was feisty in fifth. Daniel Ricciardo worked his way back up from the last on the grid to 6th position. Felipe Massa, the hometown hero, was 7th, narrowly pipping Fernando Alonso, who even more narrowly pipped Sergio Perez.
That was nip and tuck at the end, wasn't it?
It was across the line, side by side type thing, and squeaky bum time for Alonso, because I think one more lap and then Perez would have had him.
Yeah.
And Nico Hülkenberg rounded off the top 10. The other notable mentions were Carlos Sainz 11th, Pierre Gasly was 12th, Marcus Ericsson was 13th, and Verline was 14th, Romain Grosjean 15th, and Lance Stroll, the last runner, in 16th position. So there we go. Right, do you want to do constructors, or do you want to do the drivers' stand-ins?
I'll do constructors.
Okay, right, let me get the drivers, and I'll go for the drivers. Right. In first position, shall I do all the drivers? I think I might do it because we're going into.
No. Save it for the last one. We'll do all of them then.
Yeah. Okay.
Go on. Yeah.
Top 5 or top 10?
Top 5.
Okay, top 5. Right. We have Lewis Hamilton, who is the champion. He has 345 points. Sebastian Vettel is sitting in second position with 302 points. Valtteri Bottas is in third with 280 points. Daniel Ricciardo is in the fourth position with 200 points. And in fifth position, we have Kimi Räikkönen in the Ferrari with 193 points.
Do you think that's going to change? Or do you think those are kind of it now?
No, that's it. I think that's it.
Yeah? You don't think Kimi could bounce Danny Rick? There's only 7 points in it there.
I'm a massive fan of Kimi. I would like him to win the last race, but on reflection, Daniel Ricciardo's won a race, hasn't he? So I think that's fair. The way it finishes now is fair.
Okay. So the constructors, I'll do the top 5. Mercedes won with 625 points. Ferrari are second with 495 points. Red Bull are third with 358 points. Force India are fourth with 177 points. And Williams are fifth with 82 points. And I don't think any of those are, certainly the top 4 can't change. And I don't see Toro Rosso catching Williams. So, yeah.
Right.
Not with that mischievous Alan Prost out there.
Yeah. Do you reckon Renault will jump Toro Rosso at some point? Because they're only 4 points behind them, aren't they?
I reckon they will. And I don't think it's down to I don't think my reliability as such. I just think Hülkenberg and Sainz are a stronger pairing than Hartley and Gasly.
Yeah, no disrespect to the Toro Rosso boys.
None whatsoever. It's just we hold Hülkenberg and Sainz in very high regard.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, what a coup! What a coup for Renault. Okay, so that's the race. Should we get on to what we predicted last time?
Oh yes. Let us do our predictions.
Okay, right. So Brazil. Do you remember what you did?
No.
No, good man. Okay, so qualifying. I predicted Verstappen for pole. That was a no-no. You predicted Ricciardo.
Yeah, no.
That was a no-no. For the race, same again. I predicted Verstappen and you predicted Ricciardo. So no points.
No.
Very interesting.
Delworth.
Go on, sorry, mate.
I said Delworth.
Yeah, that's right. The third column. We wanted to know where Massa would finish in his last race. Now,
yes.
Where did he finish in his last race?
It was 6th. No, it was 7th, wasn't it?
7th, yes. And I'm so glad Alonso didn't overtake Massa because otherwise he would have finished 8th, which is what you predicted. So, yeah, you get no points. Surprisingly, I predicted 10th, so I get no points. So, for the first time this season, neither of us score any points out of our predictions.
That's a DNF. DNS.
Yeah.
Did not score.
Yeah. So, that's it. So, it still stays. I've got.
Oh, wait. There was another category.
Was it?
we were also guessing what would Alonso end up doing. And I don't think either of us guessed it would be finishing the race.
Oh, bloody hell. well, I'm glad I didn't go in for that bet, Christ. So, as it stands, it still stays with 18 points for me and 24 points for you going into the last race.
With a possible 4 points on offer.
Well, we can always make more columns.
We can. This is true.
We can always make more columns. So, yeah, that is the Brazilian Grand Prix over and done with. What do we have next time out?
'Tis the last race of the season. We are off to Abu Dhabi.
Nice.
So, yes, would you like some stats?
Yes, please, if you don't mind.
Okay, last time out in 2016, we had Lewis Hamilton had pole position. Lewis won the race.
Mm-hmm.
Rosberg was second. Vettel was third. Fastest lap was Vettel. In terms of overall stats, the most wins here, 3 apiece to Vettel and Hamilton.
Nice.
And the race has only been run 6 times. So,
Oh,
wait, no, I tell a lie. Kimi Räikkönen won 1 as well. So, and Rosberg won. So it's 8 times. I lied, but still.
Oh, that's right. Kimi won in the Lotus, didn't he?
Yes, in 2012.
Oh, them were the days.
Ah, yes.
Wow. Okay, so am I going first again? I suppose I am.
You're still down on the points, yeah. So you go first.
Okay, so qualifying, I'm going for Hamilton for pole position.
Yeah.
Yep. So who would you like now? I've taken your man.
I'll go with Ricardo. Old reliable.
Okay.
Danny Rick.
Excellent. And for the race win, I'm gonna go for. Okay. I want Kimi Räikkönen. I want Verstappen to win. But I feel it's between Hamilton and Vettel again. And if Hamilton gets out in front, then I don't see any other winners. So with that being said, I'm going with Verstappen.
Fair enough. I think I'm going to go with Lewis just because I think he's going to be desperate to try and break his little curse. So I'll go with Lewis for the win.
You're going for Hamilton for the win. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so third column. What are we thinking of?
Third column on the last race of the season, eh?
Well, I'm going to put this in there. Fastest lap. Who gets the fastest lap? But then, hang on, how many points do I need? I need 7 points. Wow, that's a lot of columns. Well, I reckon fastest lap. Then also, so I'm not going to do 7 columns, don't worry.
No, but double points for 3 of them.
Oh, nice one. Yes. I love your style. Excellent. Okay, fastest lap. Who do you reckon they get the fastest lap?
Ooh, I'm going to go with Lewis.
You're going with Hamilton. Okay. I'm going to go with Alonso.
Okay, now, before you commit to that, let me just remind you, he still has a Honda in the back of that car for this race.
I'm aware of that, Just for shits and giggles. This is the reason why I haven't won this title. Oh dear. Yeah, I'm going with Alonso because you never know.
No. In this instance, we do know. We have incontrovertible proof.
Yeah. Okay. Do I change it then? Okay, I'll go for Verstappen then. If fucking Alonso gets it though, I swear.
If Alonso gets it, you can have 7 points.
Oh,
just off of that.
Thank you very much. Okay, all right then. Should we leave it at that then?
So if Alonso gets the fastest lap, I'm going to go even further for you. Yeah.
Okay, go on then.
If Alonso gets on the podium
Oh,
20 points to you.
on podium. Okay, I need to write this down. I get 20 points. Okay.
But if he doesn't, I feel there should be some sort of penalty.
What sort of penalty would I incur for that then? I don't understand.
Well, I'm just saying you can't just have a free buffet, you know. You can't just say, yes, I'm going to take this big bet with no stakes. You know, it just doesn't work like that. So, I don't know. If he doesn't get on the podium, you have to publicly renounce Kimi Räikkönen.
Oh, that's never going to happen. No, you can stuff it then. No, that's not going to happen.
No, is there no penalty you're willing to take for the Alonso podium?
No, because even if
because you're right, it's never going to happen.
It's never going to happen. So I'm just choosing something I'm going to be doing next time out.
All right. We'll leave that one off. But yeah, if he gets the fastest lap, you can have your 7 points.
Okay, lovely. Okay, if Alonso gets fast.
No, actually, no. Make it 9 points. Because on the off chance I score the other 2, you want to make sure you still win.
Excellent. If Alonso gets fast lap, then I get the 9 points.
If Alonso gets the fastest lap, you win. That's what we're saying.
Okay. Oh, dude, I'm going to be on the phone to him later on. or tweeting him at least. Just get the fastest lap. I don't care where you finish. Just get the fastest lap. That'd be awesome. Okay, so Abu Dhabi circuit. Fan of it?
No, not really.
Really, I like it. I do like it. I like the atmosphere. I like the dusk until night setting. I like all the lights that are blinkering around. I like fruit machines anyway, but I like the setting. I like the circuit. I like what we have. I like the races that we've had in the past here. So, yeah, I'm a fan of this circuit.
I see. You know, I hate using this expression, but it is exactly what the case is here. It's trying too hard.
Really? Oh.
Really trying too hard. And I've never been a huge fan of the circuit. You know, it's not one of the greatest Tilke ones in my estimation.
Mm.
And the thing that annoys me the most is it robbed the final being in places like Brazil, Suzuka, you know, the sort of circuits which had a long Formula One heritage. I mean, they're only there because they pay extra for it.
Yeah.
And that just kind of, yeah.
Well, they pay extra for having the last race of the season. And yet, I think they're hoping to have the title not wrapped up before the circus comes to them, guys. So, really, they've lost out this year.
This year they have, yeah. But again, you know, in fact, actually, the last couple of years they've lost out. But still, you know, it's you want the last one there because you've got if it does go down to the wire, which it has done in a few instances, you know, it's much more exciting then because you know where they finish there and then dictates it where it's going to go. So
okay, cool. Right, okay. Well, I'm looking forward to it. You're not. You're less so looking forward to it.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. But at the end of the day, you know, the championship's all sewed up at this point. It's not the best circuit in my estimation for overtaking and everything. And yeah, I just again, it's the last race of the season.
Yeah,
you know, it's after that. That's it. It's done. We enter the whole 2-month drought before the testing starts.
Yeah, we're going to the lull, don't we?
We do, yeah. Do you remember when that lull used to last from like end of September through until April?
God, yes, yeah. Have you seen IndyCar's lull? That goes on from August until March. So yeah, man, I couldn't do that. That's just not cricket. That's not on at all.
No, it's not Formula One either.
No. So okay, well that's it then for this time out then. So where can these lovely listeners catch you on other podcasts around the internet?
Oh, I'm just in and around the Rogue 2 network with you, my good sir, on the Band of Brothers podcast and the occasional guest appearance on Shonky Lab.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did.
Good man, good man. Yeah, you can catch me on Shonky Lab. There is an episode coming out alongside this episode as well. And we are talking about phobias. Next week, we are talking about the Darwin Awards. So that'll be out next week.
Yes, it was supposed to be BMXs, but we kind of got off subject.
It did, but that's all explained during the episodes anyway. So,
yeah.
You know, if you want to listen to guys talking about phobias this time around, pop along to Shonky Lab, find it in iTunes, find it in your normal podcasting catcher, and just give it a listen. You never know, you might actually like it. You never know.
Did I tell you my most recent phobia?
No, I think you may have said something on the show about that.
It's Palpatine phobia.
Yes, yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah. It's the fear of a deflector shield being quite operational when your friends arrive.
Oh, man. I saw your tweet about that as well.
Yeah, I was proud of that.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. So yeah, there you go. A little taster for Shonky Lab. You can also catch myself and Andy on the Band of Brothers podcast. We have on to the last episode now. So next week we will be recording the final episode, episode 10, which is called Points. And then that's it. Band of Brothers is over. So pop along to
It's been a hell of a ride.
Yeah, certainly has. Pop along to road2media.com and you can download all them episodes there. Until next time, we'll see you in Abu Dhabi. So see you then. Bye-bye.
Ta-ra.
That move for 6 might be coming on the Renault. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that, especially if Fernando's got a problem because 2.8 has become 1.9 in the space of a lap. So that's going to happen, isn't it?
A lost person at that circuit. I think he may actually be lost. He just doesn't know, and everyone's just playing along with it.
Yeah, I mean, there was that. I mean, again, it was going on about Ted coming out of the closet and stuff, and it was just...
What the hell is all that about? Honestly.
Yeah, it was somewhat painful to watch.
It's embarrassing to watch, and I don't think he's got... If he wants to embarrass himself in front of a worldwide audience, then go ahead. But there has to be a point where he's taken away from this sort of stuff. He's in no position. He was even spouting about do you remember last time where they were talking about Ferrari and the way that the FIA were bending to help Ferrari out?
Powder dry.
Okay, fine. Okay, I'm treading onto it. Okay, I will leave that now. Fuck off, Bernie. Honestly, man. I thought we got rid of you, and yet you're still there. Honestly. It's like you change car and you think, oh, good, I don't have to have that air freshener in my car anymore. I'll get a new one. And then your missus takes all the stuff and puts in a carrier bag, moves it to the new car, and then all of a sudden you sit in your new car and you think, oh, great, oh, there's the fucking old air freshener. It doesn't do anything. It hasn't given off any fragrance for the last 6 months. Wow. Yeah. Fuck off, Bernie, man. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Mercedes being held up at gunpoint, not good at all.
It is not good. And again, it's a organisation and a sport such as Formula One is, which is, yeah, it is the very definition of opulence and, you know, money. It's all about flashing cash and that sort of shit. As much as they try.
It's the 1% show, isn't it?
Oh, it's the 0.1% show purely. I mean, another bit of news we'll get onto in a second, but you know, when you're trying to avoid paying the tax on your private jet, you know, yeah, I mean that tells you the level of people we're dealing with here. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know whose responsibility this ultimately is. Is it the teams? Is it Liberty Media? Is it the circuit? But someone dropped the ball there. And I mean, kidnappings are still a huge thing in Brazil. I mean, didn't Bernie's mother-in-law get kidnapped there or something once?
I think it was in Brazil, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you just It's just not on. Someone's got to really kind of put it together. I mean, again, okay, it's not so much of an issue, presumably in Brazil, but what if it was somewhere like Bahrain or even Abu Dhabi and stuff like this, places where potentially there's more exposure to terrorism and stuff like that? You can't allow that kind of breach of security to take place there. No. So they need to address that, in my opinion. Yeah. Again, we mentioned it briefly there. The other bit of another bit of news was Lewis was in the news for perhaps the wrong reason this week, when it turned out he's actually been dodging the tax on his rather expensive private jet.
I'm glad you brought this one up. This is
are you
interesting.
Really?
Yes, I am. Yes, because well, he missed out on £3.3 million worth of tax. Is that right?
He didn't miss out. He avoided paying it.
Okay,
but yes.
He avoided paying it.
Yes, we missed out on the tax for his private jet.
Now, there are two sides to every coin, I feel. And I don't condone people not paying their tax, but if you can't blame people, if there's people paid to look for loopholes in tax avoidance, then, and it's all totally legal and above board, you can't blame them for...
Are you trying to say, Miss McManus, to not hate the player, but to hate the game?
I am saying that, yes.
Yes. Very gangster of you.
But there are ways in... What I can work out is that Lewis had a plane. He imported it into Isle of Man, I think it was. He then leased it to another company, who leased it to another company, who then rented it back to him to use.
Yes.
That
in a
blows.
nutshell, that is it.
There's tax avoidance, and then there's taking the piss.
Well, put it this way. I'll say this. I doubt Lewis has even the foggiest idea any of this has happened. Because he will have hired financial advisors and lawyers and all these people to manage his wealth.
Yes.
The wealth management firms, if you will. And they will have taken care of all of this. And, it's not like he would have woken up one day and go, oh, yes, I want a private jet, but I don't want to pay tax on it. Now, what's happened is the wealth management, he said, I want to buy a private jet. And they'll have gone, oh, okay, fine, we'll take care of that. It's only going to cost you, I don't know, 60 million. But it says here it should cost me 63 million. Don't worry about it. We did a deal. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
That would have been the conversation on his part. So I don't blame him as such. But it was just interesting seeing Lewis in the news for reasons other than becoming a 4-time world champion.
Yeah. Yeah, there's certain ways of doing things, and if he knows that he's really honestly taking the piss, then why not just hire out a different plane, or just not buy a plane at all and just rent one out all the time?
Yep. No, absolutely. That would again, it's very hard to kind of defend someone who owns a private jet, basically. But
I feel like I am a little bit. I don't know why, but I am. And I feel if someone came up to me and said, okay, this is how you can save 10% on your wages. And you'd be like, okay, is it all about, oh yes, completely above board. You just pay me 5% and then you get the extra 5%. Okay, fine. I think most people would do that, wouldn't they? Surely.
You'd hope so. Yeah.
I think that I don't think anyone would turn around and go, well, actually, I find this guy quite immoral, but it's not illegal. It's totally above board. You're allowed to do it. They just haven't closed the loopholes yet. So
I mean, not wanting to become the HMRC podcast. I do know, you have people such as J.K. Rowling who make the conscious decision to stay in the higher tax brackets.
Yeah.
Because they want to give more back. And I applaud that. But it is one of those ones that she had to make that conscious decision to do it and had to take an active interest in those sort of things. So, yeah, I mean, it's not really a story with anything to do about Formula One as such. It was just an interesting one. I mean, let's face it, when it comes to the devils within Formula One, I think Mr. B. Eccleston takes some beating.
Yeah. Okay,
which we have mentioned on a few occasions. Other bit of news, Force India. Did we say a while?
Turn off on that bit. I was like, I don't care. But thanks for that factoid anyway. That's good.
You're welcome. Yeah,
it's good.
I'm happy to pass it on.
So this weekend, did you enjoy the race? Just a brief summary before we dive into certain things and news that's happened in between.
On the whole, yes, I enjoyed it. I feel a race of two halves, perhaps. The first half being more exciting than the second half.
Ooh.
But still, on the whole, it was good.
Right. I thoroughly enjoyed it from start to finish.
Yeah. I did enjoy it towards the end. I'm just saying the first half was more enjoyable.
Okay. No, that's cool. That's cool. So with that being said, did any news happen in between the last race in...
You better fucking believe a fucking news fucking happened. But we'll save that. Oh, wait, we haven't done our disclaimer yet. We're going to swear on this cast.
Yep.
So, yeah, get used to that.
We're going to swear. We don't know everything. We're a bit stupid and we're two idiots talking on the internet.
We don't really know anything, if we're honest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But I'll say that I want a bit of a run up to that particular bit of news. So we'll ease into it a little bit, shall we?
Do you want that? If it's the bit of news I think you're thinking about, then should we leave that to the last bit of news?
I think we should, yeah. Although a lot of the other news does kind of tie into it. So
okay.
It might take a bit of dancing around here to figure stuff out. But I'll tell you what, let's start with some bad news, but more recent news.
Yep.
And this is something that's happened a few times now in Brazil. Some of the Mercedes team were held up and robbed at gunpoint.
Yeah, heard about that. Not pretty.
Not pretty at all. And excuse me, Formula One, the fuck you playing at? In my previous life, working for a big defense conglomerate, doing air shows around the world in some, I'd say some shady places, certainly as shady as parts of Brazil. There's a thing called being within the bubble, where you have security, like from the moment you get up and leave a hotel until you get to the location, and then on the way back again. And it's where was the security for this? This should not have happened. And from what it sounds like, they were apparently working late or something like that. And the police or whatever, the security went home. And then as the Mercedes, and they were leaving on a minibus, a branded minibus as well.
Right.
Probably not the smartest thing in the world there. And they were held up at gunpoint, had laptops, watches, wallets, all that sort of stuff stolen. And that is not on at all.
Okay, with the branding, when I was at Silverstone, I saw a lot of Mercedes minibuses. They were the official minibus of Silverstone. So that wouldn't surprise me. Everyone was being shipped around in them, though. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't surprise me that they're branded as Mercedes. I mean, it may just be a thing that it just so happened that the Mercedes team got in the Mercedes minibus. Because did you hear Eccleston talking to Ted, where he was saying about the branding, and they're just trying to make it showbiz, aren't they? Fucking Eccleston, he's lost the plot. He really has. He's just a doddery old guy now.
He was crazy old grandpa this weekend, wasn't he?
Yeah, I swear he'd pissed in his pants at one point as well. He just doesn't factor into anything. He looks like.
So that record holds now with the camera completely
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix podcast. I'm Elton. This is Andy.
Hello.
Hey mate, you alright?
Yeah, not too bad. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, good. We are here to review the penultimate, I nearly said episode, penultimate race of the 2017 Formula One Grand Prix season in Brazil.
It's kind of like the penultimate episode of the podcast for the season, unless we do like a big wrap-up thing at the end, which we probably will.
Yeah,
so actually, that makes no sense at all. Yeah, carry on. Pretend I didn't say anything.
Moving on. So, you lost my train of thought now.
The road at the station, there's bodies everywhere. Let's go live to the scene. Yes, I'm live from Elton's train of thought. It's a disaster scene here. I've got to tell you, I've never seen anything like this.
Honestly, man, that has not helped anything.
Did you expect it to?
Not really, no. Well, I was hoping something might pop into my head anyway. But anyway, so Brazil. I've been looking forward to this for a little while now. we all know the championship's over. Both championships have been almost drawn to a close in the respect that we know who is the champion.
Yes.
In both championships.
Freddie Mercury queued up his pipes a good few episodes ago. So
certainly did. Yeah, certainly did. And we're just jostling for certain minor positions, which I suppose don't really matter anymore. But it's
but you've got to figure out who's first of the losers.
That's correct. Yes, that is correct. But it's all to do with pride as well. And this, I feel, these last two races are about building up momentum for next year as well.
Yes, because we saw definitely in 2015. If you go off a boil now, it can really fuck up your 2016.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because Lewis didn't win. Hang on, no. Nico Rosberg started winning quite well, didn't he? At the end.
Lewis. So this was the big fact that was being touted around all weekend. Lewis has never won a race after winning a championship.
Right. Okay. How many championships has he won?
4.
How many has he won on the last race?
I only think he did one on the last race, and that was the 08 one.
And he's won it in Abu Dhabi as well. That'll be the 2014.
Okay, so there's 2 on the last race and 2 so far before that. And 2015, he didn't win any of the last season. And so far in 2017, he's not won any. So
yeah. Okay. So that fact only came up before the start of this race. Didn't it?
It's like all the facts they pull out in it. Whenever someone says, no one's ever not won from 11th on the grid, that's always a fact up until someone wins from 11th on the grid.
True, yeah.
Like no one's ever come from a pit lane to finish on the podium. Well, only 3 people have done that ever, until 4 people have done it. It's just It's Crofty making up. He's got to talk through stuff. So that's all that is.
Is that a Crofty fact?
It is a Crofty fact, I think. Yeah.
Some of them I just don't listen to. Some of it just. I like the guy, but sometimes I don't really care. That really doesn't factor into any equation whatsoever that I really care about. So I just stay clear. Normally turn off. Maybe I did.
Back they were thinking of changing their name to Force One.
Yes.
So apparently it was because they feel they're missing out on potential sponsorship opportunities because people don't want to sponsor the Force India team. But they've been told they can't use Force One. They have to use a different name. So they're looking at alternatives because Force One apparently is a bit too similar to Formula One, especially when you abbreviate it, F1.
I think Formula that's the whole idea of doing it, though.
I think that was the whole point of doing it. And apparently Liberty Media have said no.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
No.
So what do you reckon they will call themselves then? Or do you reckon that their game has been scuppered and so they will not change their name?
They could go with a big old Star Wars tie and just call themselves The Force.
Oh, Jesus. I hope they don't score any points then. Honestly.
Yeah. Have Darth Vader and Boba Fett driving the cars. It'd be awesome.
The helmets would be wicked.
Use the Force, Luke. Okay, that's a different podcast.
Oh, come on, you've turned off your targeting computer.
You turned off your targeting computer. What's going on? It's all right.
It's okay. I know what I'm doing.
Was that supposed to be Gasly?
No, it's supposed to be Kimi. I don't know.
Oh, Kimi.
I'm getting it all mixed up.
Okay. Moving on. It's officially been unofficially confirmed that Alonso next year will do at least one WEC race, presumably the Daytona, racing for Toyota in an LMP1 car.
Excellent.
And he was absolutely not seen having a seat fitting in the Cologne factory of Toyota this week.
Oh, that's got to smart Honda, hasn't it?
It's like it's not only that you. This isn't just breaking up with a girlfriend. It's immediately going and dating her sister.
Yes,
it's just like wow.
After fingering her mum.
Oh, okay, that took a very dark turn all of a sudden. I'm not sure I can condone that part of the analogy.
Yeah, okay. Well, he said some tasty words after the race as well. So
that was your one tasty to use this podcast.
Okay, fine.
You've used it now. So
but
anyway, what did he say?
Well, he said after finishing the race that something along the lines of Toro Rosso have got to look forward to that engine in the back of their car later, and he had a wry smile on his face.
Oh, well, it's funny you should mention Toro Rosso and engines, because that segues nicely onto our next bit of news. Bit of a ding-dong going on between Renault and Toro Rosso.
Uh-huh.
Because Toro Rosso have been through quite a few engines of late. And Renault have basically turned around and saying, look, I don't know the exact wording, but they basically said, look, the amount of engines you're going through when compared to both Red Bull and the Renault team, it's got to be something with the way you're using the engines or packaging the engines.
Right.
To wit, Toro Rosso responded, no, your engines are shit. In fact, we think you're deliberately sabotaging the engines because you want to beat us in the championship. Shots fired.
Yeah.
Which then, effectively then, Mum and Dad had to come out because you had Helmut Marko, who, as we know, is renowned as the voice of civility and reason within the Red Bull family. And Alan